I now welcome the Deputy Chairman of the Public Accounts Committee, Jearlean John, as we get into the mid-year budget review. Well, that debate started yesterday with the Minister of Finance actually presenting to Parliament a motion to adopt the Standing Finance Committee's report. They met on May 5th. And there were some proposals to consider with regards to the supplementation and variation of appropriation for fiscal year 2023. Senator Jearlean John is with us this morning via Zoom. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, thank you for joining me once more, Senator John. The Standing Finance Committee's report, the proposals that were stated in the report, could you just elaborate for us what were the recommendations?
Well, they had several heads that they supplemented. The government, I suppose, would have gone through their figures because the budget is predicated on a government's vision of the economy, where they want to take the economy, and divide it up simply in, well, your revenue and expenditure figures, of course, and then you go into what their vision, which will come through the IDF, the Infrastructural Development Program Fund, and then it will be, you have the recurrent expenditure. And what the government was doing was shuffling some money around as they saw fit or as demanded to run their program until the end of September 23. This is to go to the end of fiscal.
Now, from what I understand, 3.8 billion in supplementation for 22 government ministries. Did the minister indicate precisely where the government plans on getting this money? Because if we peg the budget on oil and gas prices, they're not where he envisioned them to be. It seems as though his estimate was a bit far-fetched at that time.
Well, it was far-fetched, and the minister knew it was far-fetched at the time because we are a small, operator in this scenario. We are actually a price taker. And even the larger economies, they are impacted by the war, by inflation, by geopolitical issues, etc. They are not exempt from that. The oil of gas and whatever, the petrochemicals, that is based in US dollars. And we have seen some movement in that, in addition to the uncertainty with the US, the US government trying to raise their debt ceiling by June of that's next month, and they have some you have some undetermined issues in that still. So it's been projected in the news so far that this will be catastrophic if the US Congress does not. Well, they cannot convince the US Congress to vote in the affirmative to raise the debt ceiling. But that aside, as I said, Trinidad is all a price taker in all of this. And yesterday, the Honorable Minister of Finance, he was literally bragging that his current account was, it had a headroom of about 65%. He said he had only used up about 35% as at, I think, yesterday's date. So what he's saying is that he has money, and it is time Trinidad and Tobago, I'm just repeating to me in summary what I saw during the debate, that they use up some of this money, and which he presented in this $3.8 billion of supplementation. But when you drill down into the numbers, whether it was at the Standing Finance Committee or yesterday in observing the debate, the majority of this money is going to pay bills. It has already been spent because the minister was talking about stimulating the economy. And if you have been looking at the newspapers and hearing what our economists have been saying, they have been talking about if the minister is not coming to stimulate the economy, he might as well stay home in bed. And basically, what he came to do yesterday was only to get the approval to pay bills that are outstanding. So this will in no way stimulate the economy. This is money we already eat, money already spent. Money contractors have been waiting on. Suppliers, small, large, micro, have been waiting on VAT payments and things of the like.
Now, we've grown accustomed to the Minister of Finance actually coming to Parliament and shouting from the mountaintops that everything is great and grand, and usually that sense is deflated following discussions, whether it be with economists, whether it be members of the opposition, or even independent thinkers. That being said, what are the opposition's points that they're actually opposing the fact that the minister has stated Trinidad and Tobago is still seen as a harbour, a safe harbour for investors, and that the economy has proven resilient? Government's policies have even been praised by the IMF. Coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic, we're seeing our way. Things are getting better.
Well, things are only getting better if the man coming from over this morning say it's better. That really is your stakeholder. That is the customer of the government. If the man from Marabella tell you it's better, the man in the PTSD hub, if he tells you it's better, the businessman on Charlotte Street, if he tells you it's better, right? And none of these stakeholders are telling you that things are better. This is not the opposition saying that. All we are just a conduit for what the people are feeling, because this government appears to be living in some kind of la-la land up in the sky somewhere. They are floating, and they must be floating. They're having a good time. They're eating and drinking. Everybody looking nice, strong, and jolly. But in the real world where we exist, the opposition, as you say, independent thinkers, a lot of these independent economists and business people, they know that things have not been getting better. Never mind what the minister says or what the IMF says. Remember, the IMF could only pronounce on what has been given to them. They don't live here. They don't exist here. And of course, the Ministry of Finance will try to present things in the best light possible. As a matter of fact, you would have seen a professor economist from the University of the West Indies had a divergent view from the Minister of Finance. And what the minister saw, the professor of economics actually invited the minister to a public debate, which really would have been welcomed by the population, so we could have heard both point of views. But what the minister did instead, last night after 10, he was there calling up the man's name in the parliament and talking about how much contract he benefited from, and so on. And that's the way this government responds to any challenge or any opposing view. So it doesn't help the population. What the population knows is that crime is overbearing, all right. And in terms of you commented on in terms of Trinidad seen as a welcoming space for what do you call it, international investors, for foreign direct investment, I cannot say so. The point is, people, when they are investing, they are looking for, yes, we have a lot of the fundamentals. We have the human resource, we have an educated population, we are English speaking, we are 3.5 of hours off mainland America. If you look at it, sometimes our CAL flies directly out of mainland America. The connections are all right enough, depending on where you're coming from. So those things are good, but the government met those things here. They didn't improve on those things. As a matter of fact, our educated, young, able-bodied people now are heading north. They are going to Canada, the US, and the UK. There's a whole brain drain going on, so things are trending in the wrong direction. And if an investor is coming into your country, they look at the profile in terms of crime. Will I be safe here? Our education system, our proud schools that did so well. We used to be proud, even if we did not attend those institutions, those of us who were outside looking in. And now they're all trending down to the extent that you have a principal of one of the schools saying, well, it's not about the scholarships. It's about the boys, us grooming them to become men. And the PNM government has taken away, we were given every year 440 scholarships. This is competitive. It's a competitive world. We didn't make it so, we have met it so, and it exists as being competitive in India. Of the how many Fortune 500 top companies in the world, you have 10 or 11 headed by Indians out of India. And there's a reason for that, because they are competitive and they understand the world, and the education system, their Indian Institute of Technology competes with MIT. Their people come in. As a matter of fact, I think they get the most amount of visas or work permits going into the US, because the US want human resources professionals coming out of India, and they usually find themselves in the C-suite, as they call this corporate suite. Why that can be the same for Trinidad, where we have these extremely brilliant people coming out of primary school, the secondary school, and then they are just lost somewhere in the system because they cannot find themselves into some of the top universities.
Well, Senator John, let me ask you, are there, in your opinion, are there any areas at all that Trinidad and Tobago is competitive in? Any industries or any areas at all that you see Trinidad and Tobago actually competing in?
No, because we are not building excellence. The world has left us behind, We can't even get cameras to work when women are passing and being killed. Up to some young woman, they were wondering if she was a teenager or whether she was in her 20s. I think now it's determined she was 24 years old. But she went to the Redemption concert on Saturday. You know, nobody can even go to a concert. End up, they found this half nude woman in the savannah. Right, you know what the savannah is? The savannah is next door to the President's house, to the Prime Minister's residence, to the Prime Minister's office, to a lot of important diplomatic missions, etc. And there was a young lady found dead. And it was only, I think, yesterday, they found out her name, you know, because the cameras are not working. Of the 1,796 cameras, they have 46% or 829 are not working. But they have money embedded in this supplemental for the police. And one wants to know, what is it for? Is it that they are just using that to buy new cameras, or are they going to fix? They have money for you see, again, coming back to whether Trinidad is seen as an attractive investment destination. You can't be slaughtering women like that. And then worse than that, to add insult to injury, you're not even solving it. So you might even have the camera, but there's nothing to support facial recognition. Some people marched peacefully during the day of coronation last week, Saturday, in London. And before the crown was on King Charles's III head, they found out all of them, even if they were masked. You know why? That's a serious country with serious people running it, you know, and they understand what it means to attract tourists. Because this was, yes, the king is crowning, but you know what? It's the hundreds of thousands who would have gone to visit it who had no business there. They just want to go to the spectacle because England put on a fantastic spectacle. That means hotels working, taxi driver working, BA working, food working, clubs working, drinks sharing, parks working, their plays, their theater working. That people do, they shop when they go to these destinations. So it's not only about Charles getting his crown and his queen. This is about the trickle-down effect. And we the leadership of this country don't understand that. So with Carnival, they don't care that cameras are working. Yes, you want people to come where? To be slaughtered? You go to a concert, you can enjoy yourself. You don't know if you'll get back home. So these are the things that people flag when they are looking to see whether they should bring their money to Trinidad, New York, London, Hong Kong, Singapore, Dubai. We are competing. It's a competitive world. We are not sort off from the rest of the world. So if we are dumbing down everything and we don't care and we are saying who dead, then nobody has time with us. They're not going to move their family here. And the government need to say how much direct foreign investment they have attracted since this government has come into power. And I'm sure we will not be stunned because they have attracted nothing. These are government that they're dead. Nobody wants them. It's time they just go.
Now, the Article 4 report, as much as the Minister of Finance has utilized it as a form of praising the government's work and the government's decisive policies, you just mentioned foreign direct investment, but the minister also stated that the IMF has noted through its Article 4 report that external debt, the public sector debt has decreased and our external position has improved. Surely that's a very good thing. I know you said that the IMF only works with what it receives, but given the IMF and the stringency of the IMF, isn't that good news?
Well, I mean, I don't want to cast any aspersion on the IMF, but as I said, if it is, people could only work with the input information, and if it's garbage in, it's garbage out. They did say that the expectation that the economy was going to grow over, I think, 3%, but then they readjusted that to, I think, 2.3% growth, as it were. And as I said, economists who sit down and study these numbers every day, they debated that was so. So because listen, you live in this country, the tail of the tape. Yes, what the IMF says is important for when you're doing international borrowings and that can, and of course, if you have an investor who wants to come in, they will look to see whether they will be able to get foreign exchange, whether they could repatriate their profits, what kind of laws you have, if you adhere to what you call it, all the laws that affects white collar crime and so on, because they will have to not only account here, but they have to account in the jurisdiction from which they came. You know, the taxing regime, whether it is you, as I said, whether is a double double dip. They will tax you here and then tax you back to the land, the country from which they originated. That double taxation treaty. All of these things they look at. They look at a whole country profile. They go to their embassy. And what does the embassy tell them? What do you think the U.S. embassy telling the gentleman coming to say, can I invest in Trinidad? Look at the travelers advisory. We are saying, don't go there. Don't go into the city. So where you go if you can't go into Port of Spain? That is what the advisor said. The advisor for the UK says the same thing. They are not going to come. So, okay, so as I said, the IMF has said this, and it might help the government not pay these very high rate of interest when they are borrowing internationally. I don't know if that will impact them at all. But the point is, you are not living for the IMF who is in Washington. It's about the people here. And everywhere you go, these are the stakeholders, these are the customers, these are the people who voted them in. The people are saying, we are not feeling better. We are not feeling as if we are better off. As a matter of fact, they use the point of reference as 2015 and say we are better off. We were better off then. And it's not because I'm a member of the UNC. You are talking about PNM people, UNC people, Jews and Gentiles. They say the same thing. We were better off under the Kamla Prasad-Bissessar government. That's what they say. Even this the economist, who is no friend of the UNC, he said it will take us 10 years, as at today's day, to get back to where we were in 2015. So we are looking forward, we are looking back to set 2015 as the baseline in 2023. That is a serious issue. Mm-hmm. You understand? The minister didn't tell us about our savings. Sorry, yes.
No, as Deputy Chairman of the Public Accounts Committee, yes, we recognize that you are indeed an opposition senator and the deputy political leader of the United National Congress. However, do you think that institutional reforms are needed, are necessary, so that the general population will have a greater input in budgetary allocations?
Well, okay. I have managed large systems, Trinidad and Tobago, let me put it that way. It is hard to engage everybody to say, well, they accuse you of micromanaging me. To say, okay, I want to sample your opinion, etc. But consultation is good. Not only is consultation good, listening, and when you're listening, you have to hear. That too is good. And the population, the minister is saying, at 4.5%, we are at full employment. Okay, that is some international metric. Okay. But if you want sample people, you think people, the general population feel we are at full employment? We have a lot of underemployment. We have people who are underpaid. We have doctors, lawyers, accountants. We have, sportsmen, carpenters, electricians, plumbers, not working. I'm reading somewhere where I think the price of cement has gone up 3 times over some very short period. And people in Tobago, the contractors in Tobago are saying, that's okay. It could go up 10 times. It doesn't matter to us. You know why? Nothing is happening in Tobago. Can you imagine? In Tobago, everything is 50% more. They are saying nothing is happening. It means there is no opportunity to create the jobs, those short and medium-term jobs that are good-paying jobs, to take the heat off the THA in terms of creating jobs. So all of these are the things that are affecting us. So yes, we need the consultation, that's important to hear what the people are saying. And when they say it, you have to listen. And you can't be just high on your own supply because, yes, you're the government and you have to present a positive outlook. We understand that. But never mind, I'm opposed or my party is opposed to the government and we believe we have a better vision. We work harder, we work better, we are more aspirational, and we take people from wherever they are along with us. I'm still saying a government is voted in for 5 years. And for the 5 years, they are the government of all of us. And so if a government does well, it doesn't matter that I'm a member of the UNC party, the government does well for me. Because if they stimulate the economy, it means I will find work if that's what I'm looking for. I'll find business if that is what I'm looking for. I'll find opportunity. And it will be a government for all. You have to be a government for all. You can't just be a government for the few who support you and in your air, because they're not even a government for the people who voted them in. Because in those communities are the most hard hit. That is where you find the crime operating in overdrive, and it is wrong. It cannot continue. And there is where you have an asymmetrical society and community, and people are saying that we are heading and trending in the wrong direction in the worst way, and they are red flag.
Senator Jearlean John, let me ask you. In your position or in any position as a member of the opposition, it is always very easy to lay criticisms, but often enough, I don't hear any solutions. What are some of the ideas being put forward by the opposition to try and alleviate this depression that Trinidad and Tobago is facing?
Yeah, but we are always talking about solutions. Every MP you see stand up to talk in the parliament, they present the solutions. But those solutions, well, in terms of the reporting, it's not sexy. Every Monday night, we have a Monday night report. You know what this do a Monday night report? Every Monday night come, Monday night go. We do that. We have press conferences twice a week. We highlight and say this is where we believe the government is trending in the wrong direction. And this is what we would have done as the opposition in every single sphere. We do it. So whether we were building hospitals, and I was very involved in those things, when we built whether it's the hospital in San Fernando, the 216 bed or the 253 bed in the children's hospital started. I personally was there at the start of ARIMA and Point 14, meaning did all the designs, all the consultations. I was at the front line. I don't really lead from the back. We did all of that. But it was one, to provide healthcare for our own people, quality healthcare at that, but then to have the additional extra redundancy in the system that can be sold up the region into North America, because the cost of healthcare in America is prohibitive. So why can't we be an offshore area providing healthcare for Americans to just fly down here? We have an airline. We have all the fundamentals.
Yes, but Senator John, our public healthcare system is atrocious. We can't even
under the PNM. You understand? Under the that's the point. You're seeing it as this today, but it doesn't have to be so. We don't have to accept it like that. So when we were building new plant, the next one was to do 1,000 beds. You see, 8 years have gone. They can't even do a bed tower. We built hospitals. You understand? So that was the next one, the one in in Port of Spain, to update that and expand it. Then one in Penal. Then the cancer center that they stopped at Mount Hope. So this government, they just stopped it. The International Financial Center. We are on the same timeline as New York. Why could Singapore come behind and do it? Why could Dubai do it? And all we do and say, look at Singapore, look at Dubai. We could do it too. We have a lot of idle capacity in terms of people who are lawyers, accountants, all of these folks needed in the financial sector, people in actual science. We're actually doing actual science course at the University of the West Indies. What are we going to do with these children when they graduate? So that's what I'm saying. We have to build industries around what we are teaching in our schools. Now the whole the rest of the world is now going to AI. They have moved away from all this Facebook and so on. I mean, we like to do that, so we peeping now, but they are now into augmented reality, and all of these things. So they are moving on, and we are still here. We are not even teaching coding in school in a serious way. And these are opportunities we could give to our young people in terms of new career paths, because they are needed in the rest of the world. When you look at the geopolitics, after we had all those issues coming out, the supply chain issues coming out of COVID, the world saw how vulnerable they are and how interdependent they are. What do you see President Biden doing? He's been moving away from China, going more into North America, meaning the US, mainland America, Canada, Puerto Rico. Bring Trinidad in the chain. My grandmother said, the devil bring it as God send it. Line up yourself. But you cannot be lined up if all you have to offer the world are criminals, shooters, drivers, lookouters. Nobody don't want that. Mm-hmm. They want people who are well trained.
Well, is it that we should be taking lessons from the United States given their crisis at the moment, or should we be looking more at lessons to learn from BRICS?
Well, we could learn the lesson anyway. All right, where I'm not talking about the U.S. As the U.S. I'm talking about where are the opportunities. And based on the U.S.'s policies at this time, they want to move away in terms of the dependence from China in terms of the chip making and battery making and so many other items. I call them, as an accountant, widgets components that used to put into their production process. Why don't we do that? All that is happening now. We are training nurses for the US and the UK. So we are training in the wrong direction, because our nurses and doctors are saying they have no jobs, or the pay is poor, or the plant is poor. All right. So I'm saying wherever we can find, whether BRIC, the NATO, wherever the opportunities are, we are too small to be cockroach in cat business or rat business. All we want to do is to have the opportunity. We should trade with everybody, as long as they are not deemed some kind of terrorist state. that we get into trouble. But once there's business, we should be ready and open for business. That is all Trinidad should be doing at this time, creating opportunities for our people, right, who are very hardworking if they are challenged. We have, as I said, an educated population, an industrial population, aspirational population. And more so that we have this outsized crime problem affecting children now as young as 8 because they're grooming.
Senator John, I don't have much time, but I have to ask you, do you really believe that we have an educated and hardworking population?
Have you been looking at the... Okay, again, that is lopsided, again, because of this government. It was a UNC government that came up with universal secondary education, that came up with dollar for dollar, that the precursor, the forerunner to GATE. But have you seen the results coming out of the NAPS and the PRES and the Convent and the SAGs and Hillview presentation and where you call it? Fatima, QRC, not so much these days. But these schools have the potential for greatness. So even if they have fallen, some of them have slid. I wouldn't call it fallen, but they have slid a little bit. We have the potential. We had it. Our people used to have CIC getting over 30 scholarships every year. Now I don't know where it is because nobody look on anymore. But just this week, I had a young man in my house. The mother brought him for me. He wants to do civil engineering. Brilliant, beautiful. Good manners, decent. What would you call it? Very disciplined. Ready to work. He wants to go abroad to do his civil engineering. I don't know if he'll come back. When I look at him, that to me is the model for every single young man in Trinidad and Tobago. And there is the potential, but if they are not shown another way, I mean, this young man is lucky. His mother is a very serious person, and she has kept him a tight grip on him. And he went to St. Mary's. Beautiful young man. I was so happy. I knew him as a child, and now he's 17, about to leave Trinidad to go and study. But we have so many more of them, and some who just need the guidance. And I'm not just saying that because I'm in opposition. We can do it. All of us can do it. If there is a vision, that same vision you're talking about.
Senator John, thank you very much for joining me this morning on AM Prime. Appreciate your time, and I hope to hear more from the Minister of Finance. But for now, this is where we'll have to pause and keep well, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me. All the best.
All the best. Bye-bye.